So what do you think we're going to talk about tonight, Michael?
The fall of ancient Rome.
See, I have a different take. It is February 2nd, and that means Punxsutawney Phil. But you are the official weatherman of our media empire here. So I am guessing that it's going to be a debate over who's the better weatherman, you or Phil.
I was going to say Agua Fria Freddy.
Or Agua Fria Freddy. You never know. But that's half the fun of this. We've got no idea what we're going to talk about. He's Mike. I'm Dan, and we're coming to you tonight. Hello, everybody. Once again, I am Dan. He's Mike. This is In the Blind. Here is how this show works. Producer Beth, off camera, has devised 2 devious topics for us and a lightning round of 5 true or false questions. We've got no idea what we're going to talk about tonight, but she's about to let us know. Michael, are you ready?
As ready as I could possibly be with 0 show prep.
Angels and Ministers of Grace defend us. Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 4. Go.
When public figures become brands, where does the responsibility begin, and who decides what accountability looks like?
When personalities become brands
Public figures.
Okay, when
Public
figures become brands. Okay, so you're talking like
There's tons of examples.
Yeah, like all of those examples where all of a sudden I've completely drawn a blank.
Like the Kardashians.
Okay, yeah, that's a good example. And what was the rest of the question?
When public figures become brands, where does responsibility actually begin, and who decides what accountability looks like?
Responsibility for what? Can you be more specific? Or do we just need to hash it out based on what you've given us?
Well, if a person stops being an actual person and becomes a product, are they fully responsible for the product? Do fans or the audience feel entitled to both the product and the person? Is accountability the same thing as punishment if something is wrong with the product?
All right, so how I take what you're getting at then is, let's say you have a Beyonce and she has all of this influence over all of these people who want to be like Beyonce. They want to grow into what she is and what she represents. Does she have a responsibility for that? I would say absolutely 100% yes, because you're putting yourself out there, and I think you have a duty to society to model your best self for others. And I think that's one of the things that I've tried to hold true in my internet presence, which is nowhere near where anybody that we would be talking about tonight is. However, I still feel a duty myself to put forward my best self and model my best self in an effort to help other people realize what's possible. That's my initial take on what she's saying. What do you think, Michael?
I would agree. It's one of those things where, yeah, you could shirk the responsibility to the, your publishers or your, the vendors or whoever it is that you're working with. But ultimately, if you're signing the dotted line and putting your name on a product, the buck stops with you. With the Kardashians, with the, Paris Hilton, with all these wonderful figures of great and high morality,
like singers and songwriters.
Well, and then Diddy, remember he put his name all over everything, and and those brands and Kanye and all these other, they put their names on all these different clothing brands and perfumes, and they're very successful, by the way. I mean, they've obviously done a lot. That said, yes, when things go wrong, either with the product or with the brand for whatever reason, it ultimately does come down to that person that put their name on it. And how it affects society. I mean, look, it's one thing if people, I think we even talked about this, Dan, on Sidebar, another one of our shows, we talked about how some of these companies don't want to have their product associated with the poor or with certain types of groups. That's one of those things that obviously, who cares? At least I say who cares, but obviously it's one of those things where, that's what you have to think about when you're putting your name on something. It becomes yours. You own it.
Well, that's very true. And then there's also the cases where, you just said if there's a problem with the product, but what's been running through my brain is the person actually being the product, not just putting their name on the product.
Well, there's that too.
So, and then you have situations where there's problems with the product. An immediate one that comes to my mind, which is incredibly polarizing, and not to go political, but is Candace Owens.
Oh boy.
But she is a name. She is a product in and of herself. And there's a lot of people that believe that product has become defective and damaging in so many ways. So,
right.
It goes beyond just something you might put your name on. It goes all the way to what you present yourself.
There are other not so partisan figures that do the same thing. Kanye, like you said, for example.
Oh, he's just as partisan.
Maybe more so.
maybe
more so.
I get where you're going.
Or at least polarizing anyway.
I just pulled a name that's been prominent right now.
Even Taylor
Swift. Taylor Swift is another one.
Yep.
Although, well, she maybe models stuff in a different way. I mean, she's with Travis Kelce or whatever now, and that's been fairly long term, but she was burning through a guy a week there for years, which isn't necessarily modeling, again, the right behavior. So, and taking responsibility for your position in the world. So yeah, I think there's a huge responsibility on people if they grow to a position of prominence to have to take it seriously and have the responsibility that you've had placed on your shoulders. Now, is it easy? Probably not. I think a lot of people probably get in these situations and all they want to do is just live a normal life, but you've moved past that at that point.
Right. Well, and you mentioned it kind of briefly at the very start of this, Dan, about how, the way you do things and how, you take responsibility. And, it's the same here. My channel is pretty small, 5,600 subscribers and, a few thousand views every day, whatever. But I still take the responsibility of disseminating information seriously. I realize talking about weather is sort of the toy department of media, right? But still, I think it's important because we have a lot of people in this industry that they have a big name. They're big. They're brands in and of themselves. They have millions of subscribers and followers, and they don't take their product seriously, or they become caricatures of themselves. They they just become meme merchants and misinformation individuals. They are pillars of misinformation, and it becomes problematic for those of us that want to do things the right way. So when these big names attach themselves to various products, it maybe tarnishes brands across the board because they are so influential that they can pollute the entire industry sometimes just by what they do. Look, I mean, it's not just, and we could take this topic in a different way too. There's companies that associate themselves with somebody that then ruins their brand. I mean, obviously,
Jared with Subway.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. Yep. I mean, Subway, it took forever for them to dig out of it, and one could argue maybe they never really did.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they did at all. I think it was permanent damage, unfortunately. And I mean, they had their issues beyond that. I mean, they had a a huge decline in food quality and everything else. But yeah, there's definitely the association that's a factor. I would say too, there's a problem with those who have, how do I want to put this? Those who put themselves out there and become a brand in and of themselves, associating themselves with too much stuff outside of their brand. And for there, I would look at Hollywood and the amount of people in Hollywood that want to go champion some kind of cause that has nothing to do with who they are. And then they tarnish themselves even further by acting like they're experts on the matter.
I mean, Harry and Meghan are probably a couple of the biggest examples of how to ruin something. I mean, you're Meghan Markle. You were a low-rated actress, although she was on Suits, and the first 5 seasons of Suits are amazing. And then the show just took a huge dump. But anyway, all you have to do as a princess or as a duchess is enjoy it. Do your appearances that you have to do, shut your mouth, and you're on easy street, right? But she went in there and just loused all of that up. I couldn't somehow snatching defeat from the jaws of victory and taking the royal family name, which I know there's been a lot of controversy in the royal family, but there's what, Kate Middleton. I mean, they did it right. I don't know how Harry and Meghan did. Both of them are snots, really.
Yes,
they're both problematic for different reasons. But Meghan has done everything to poop on that brand. And then she tries to put out more stuff and just makes it worse because it's all this narcissistic, self-serving garbage that she puts. There are whole channels, Dan. I mean, if we had started this show and we had just devoted it to making fun of Harry and Meghan, we probably would have millions and millions of subscribers, because that is a cottage industry in itself, just on how that one brand or that series of brands that she's put out since, With Love or whatever she's calling it this week, how that's been completely tarnished and ruined.
Well, we haven't filled the Friday night slot yet. So maybe that's the next move. I don't know.
We'll just get an expert on. And, yeah.
Oh, man. No, I think there is a responsibility that these people have to have. And I think it's pretty clear that a lot of them don't take it seriously. The blessing, perhaps, that they've been given, a lot of people who have achieved prominence, to have all of the trappings that go along with that. But then, I don't think they respect it. And that's bad, not only from a what are you showing the rest of the world standpoint, but that's bad for them.
It is.
What a waste to have so much put in front of you and to not appreciate it and not treat it right. I mean, I have goals here. I have plans, and one day I by the grace of God, will have a level of popularity, even a sliver of what some of these people have. But I would hope that I would respect what is given to me at that point, that I would appreciate it and
stay humble.
And stay humble about it. But that's a very good point right there, Mike, is the complete lack of humility for some of these who rise up to the point where they become a brand in and of themselves.
Right.
Can I throw out a little bit of a shift in the question? Do you think a person that becomes a brand, the people who are watching them, do you think over time, as they're becoming the brand, the viewership people feel they're owed different things?
Okay, so then we start getting into the parasocial relationships that are out there, right? So how, this is, it's a separate topic, but it is interconnected in the sense that people become huge.
So I can turn it down.
People become they become huge streamers or whatever. And the next thing you know, these people that watch them, they think, well, I've donated to these guys. I watch every day. If they have a meet and greet someplace, they owe me. They owe me a handshake. They owe me a dinner. They owe me I want to talk to them. I want to have more of a relationship with them because, hey, I gave them $500, or, if there's some, and we see this all the time with these attractive women that are on, these streaming platforms, and they, a lot of the creepy guys out there, we've seen a lot of these people, at what was it, TwitchCon not long ago, that Imaru, she got attacked by one of her fans. This guy just came up to her and hugged her and went in for a smooch or whatever, and nobody really did anything. This sort of thing happens. People think that they're owed something just because they watch all the time and they give money and they, parasocial relationships can get pretty weird sometimes.
That's true. I was actually thinking about that the other day, because over at TCF, we've had a level of success, not nowhere near what we're talking about tonight, but we have. And I think I've been blessed that I haven't had those kind of things, at least thus far, where I think we've developed a good community and we have healthy boundaries and stuff like that, that don't necessarily exist, in a lot of other spaces. But I think a lot of things could be kept in check with the brokenness of people who get to the point where they're their own brand. A lot of that could be kept in check with, again, just a sense of humility. But I suppose you can also argue that if you've gotten to that point, and as fast as some of these people get to that point, I suppose you could argue that they got there because they don't have that humility.
Exactly, because isn't there a point where the outrage is just feeding the algorithm and the entertainment?
Yeah. No, that's very true as well. That's a good point. How many of these people who are out there and becoming their own brands are becoming a car wreck on purpose because car wreck is what sells?
Yeah.
Well, it's about engagement farming. I mean, that's really what it is. It's become, and I bring it back to what I do for, just in the weather community, right? There is definitely a race to the bottom when it comes to the more views you get and the more clicks you get, the more money you make. It opens the door for a race to the bottom because people will do these outrageous things. And there's lots of bad actors in the weather space that have, again, tens of thousands, hundreds, even millions of subscribers and followers that make everything the biggest storm possible and they catastrophize everything. Even a light snow, they'll turn it into a blizzard. And unfortunately, it works. I mean, I hate to admit that, but it works. But it ruins it for everybody. And ultimately it sours people on everything related to the issue. And it serves to drive
everybody
people away.
in fight or flight mode, and that's not healthy because then it drips over into every other aspect of your life where you're always on edge.
Yes. Yeah. But so, yeah, that's the problem I have with any of this stuff, whether it's, celebrity brands or parasocial relationships or any of this other stuff. Yeah, there is definitely a race to the bottom on all of it. And it's, now there's a lot of people that do good things. There's lots of people that do things for charities and help out. But yeah, it's, there's unfortunately, those people are overshadowed by the Harry and Megans and the, in my weather field, the Max Velocities and the Ryan Hall y'alls and those guys that, just meme cast and catastrophize everything. Even though sometimes they do good work, there's a lot of sensationalism.
Do I have that in my space? I'm trying to think of names. I mean, we've got AI frauds, but I'm trying to think of somebody who's like over the top nuts.
Well, without naming, I mean, there are some, and there's definitely some channels that manufacture views based on misinformation, or they'll say, I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but it's a similar vein, even in the law tube space. So yes, we get that a lot. There's a lot of rage baiting that goes on.
That much is certain. All right, so I think my position on this, Beth, is yes, those who rise to a certain level of prominence, that have their own brand, they do have a responsibility to others, and they need to, even more than that, I think they've got a responsibility to themselves. That'd be my take.
I would agree with that.
There you go. 2, 1.
Yes.
Time's up. All right, so before we move into the next topic, those of you in the chat who said you couldn't hear Beth, welcome to live show episode 1. I fixed it partway through. And unfortunately, it might affect our ability to clip topic 1, but they weren't able to hear you very well.
Okay, I was pretty close.
Well, it
Sorry.
wasn't that. It was a setting that I had, but I fixed it. You were coming through for us, but not for them.
Understood.
It's Dan's fault.
It is my fault, actually. I messed it up.
I'm not running the board. This is one of the few times that I don't run the board, so I can't be blamed. I'm happy about that.
No, the long and the short of it is that this program runs a different setting from our other shows, and I forgot to flip a certain switch.
Oh.
So.
Oops.
Well,
sorry.
that'll do it.
It happens. Live programming, ladies and gentlemen. We are not AI slop that's been pre-programmed here. Are we, Michael?
We are not.
Thank you.
Are you ready for number 2?
Oh, I don't know. Is number 2 going to be the shit? Haha.
I don't know.
There.
You'll have to listen and make that determination for yourself.
All right. Have at it. What do we got?
Okay. As research into microdosing continues, and with places like Colorado decriminalizing certain psychedelics, what are the medical, ethical, and societal implications of their use for things like migraines, mental health, and cognition?
So I wonder how you came up with this topic.
It just came to me one night.
Mind. Yes. So anybody who follows us over on TCF already knows this, so I'm not spilling the beans here. But Beth is a sufferer for 20 years now of chronic migraine.
Yes.
And though we've never tried microdosing, because such things aren't exactly legal here.
They're not legal in the state.
It is certainly something that a lot of people have done. And you're asking me if it's ethical, asking us if it's ethical.
Well, I asked what the implications are. Medical, ethical, societal, for things like mental health, cognition, migraines, because it has passed and it has been decriminalized in Colorado. And there's lots of studies that are currently being run. You can microdose in Colorado.
Michael, my thoughts are complicated. Do you want to lead off?
Complicated
too.
Mine are complicated, but I think I know how I land on this. I'll try to talk myself through it, because it's a complicated. This is a maze, all right. This is a labyrinth of ideas, but I think
for clarification,
Yeah.
We're not advocating or endorsing microdosing. We're just talking about it. We're just talking about the implications. So don't take what we're saying and go, yay, I should go try this. No. That's not what we're doing.
Consult your doctor for what's best for you.
Yes. Before you run out and do LSD.
Yeah.
You didn't hear it from me. I will say, I'll lead off with that, actually. I know that there have been studies done that show that LSD, for example, helps with certain types of mental issues and certain, I can't remember if it was schizophrenia or something like that. Look, there's a lot of...
They've been doing it in Sweden.
Yeah, there's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of things that we have painted in society as drugs are bad, okay? And yet they're not all bad. And there are certain fringe cases where they can even be beneficial to some people. In terms of ethics, I have no problem with it from an ethical standpoint. I think it comes down to personal morality or personal choice. So long as, it's done in good faith, I really do believe that we can advance on certain types of treatments and do better for society by allowing the research to continue. Now, can there be an argument made that it'll become like medical marijuana, where it's just kind of a joke, where there are people that really do use marijuana medicinally and they need that and it benefits them and it's great. People with cancer and fibromyalgia and all this other stuff, they take it and they rave about it and they think it's great. Could it become something like that? Maybe. But in terms of ethical issues, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I know that there are people that just are hardline no to drugs, period, across the board. And to those people, I say, well, then don't do it. Don't do microdosing. Don't get involved in it. But those that think it's okay and they want to try it on themselves, or they're part of a medical study, I think that should be allowed to go on. I have no problem with it. I don't really see it necessarily being bad. This isn't like what we were talking about before with, becoming computer brain. I think this is a little bit different. This isn't eugenics. This isn't turning ourselves into, bionic war machines or something. This is a little bit different. I think if it's there, if we can find something that will cure chronic migraines, for example, just pulling that out of thin air because you brought that up. But no, whether it's migraines or whether it's some sort of anxieties or schizophrenia, any mental health issue, then yeah, I'm all for it.
It could also cross into, they've done some preliminary studies on things like Alzheimer's, for example, because that's a cognition issue. And can psychedelics help refire the neural networks in your brain so that you don't deteriorate at the same rate?
Anybody that's watched a family member succumb to dementia, to Alzheimer's, I think for them, it's an easy answer. It's easy just to say no and paint with a broad brush, but I just think it's not that simple. So I will lean cautiously on the side of pushing forward with that sort of thing.
I have very mixed views on this matter.
Well, we actually, I know I'm not supposed to be interjecting here, but we took care of my father and he had mental issues.
Yes, from his stroke.
From his strokes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of mental decline.
There was. I don't think anything was going to fix that, though.
No, but if something had been tested to a point where it was proven that it could, those last couple of years could have been a lot better than they were.
Maybe. I'm personally always have been, and this is just me. And look, I've spent most of my adult life looking after people who have had medical needs and they're taking medications for it and everything else. So I can see that side of it where you want to find something that works. And if microdosing would work, you'd want to embrace it. And I could see that for my wife, where if, microdosing of mushrooms like fixed her migraines, look, there's part of me that want to say, yeah, let's do that. But there's another part of me, a very strong part of me, that feels like we're in a big damn hurry and we're all too agreeable to the idea of fixing ourselves chemically. And it worries me because I don't know that we've got a strong enough grasp on exactly how the human body works, and the fact that every body is different, everybody processes things different. Just what kind of damage are we doing? And is anybody not sick anymore? I mean, seriously, everybody's got some kind of. It's like, it used to be when you introduced yourselves, like, what do you do for a living? Well, I do this. Oh, cool. I do that. It's good to meet you. Now it's, hi, I'm John. I've got these 5 disorders. How about you? And I wonder how much of that is brought on by the fact that we're always chasing solutions chemically. Have we done more harm than good? Have we broken the human race through this pursuit? I don't know. I'm not an expert. It's just, and I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. It's just a question that I have, and the question I've always had. So I would always tend to lean towards less is more. If there are ways to get through things without throwing more chemicals on top of it, I'm in favor. That having been said, I think I would trust something that nature grew, like
I
a
was
mushroom,
just going to ask that.
over
something chemically developed in a lab.
Over meth from Joe's house of meth 2 blocks from us, where he's cooking it in his basement and somehow hasn't blown up the house yet.
Yeah. I was just going to ask if that made a difference.
Yeah, I think I would run there first.
Hold on. What's the address for Joe's house of meth again? Let me write that
we'll
down.
We'll give you that after show.
Okay.
Actually, Beth put it in the private chat for me. No, I worry about this constant chasing of better living through medicine, that we end up doing more harm than good. And I say that because here in this house with your migraines, Beth, we've tried so many things that in the end have done more harm than good, and we've had to quit them.
Yes.
There's so many things out there that would break you if you kept up with it.
Yes.
And very few things actually help. But again, that's anecdotal. It's just you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's concerning to me. But again, I trust something that's grown by nature over something that's made by man.
So I was just going to say, so Dan, but if, let's say, the old magic mushrooms worked for Beth, right? And there weren't any, real side effects, if
minus
they actually
pretty colors.
You're right. Minus the pretty colors and maybe like, I don't know, you talk to a dead relative, but other than that, if it really did work, wouldn't you want to do whatever you could?
Yes, to a point. I think you can go too far chasing things. I think there are certain times where you've got to accept your lot in life just a little bit. Not everything's going to get fixed. So at some point, the pursuit has to be tempered with reality and what's possible. So you have to consider that. I would also say, because I think this was mentioned, I forget, I don't remember if Beth, you mentioned it, or Michael, if you did, but some of this also has to be tempered with a certain amount of responsibility. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing right now in our world is, are people responsible enough to, if they're given this opportunity, this thing works for them, are they responsible enough and capable enough to keep that level of responsibility, to take it the way that they're supposed to dose the way that they're supposed to, and not go, right, oh, this makes me feel so much good, let me do 5 times the amount. And then the next thing, right, you've got an addict.
Sure.
One of my biggest concerns when it comes to drugs is the addiction level of it. And some of that is through experience that I've seen in my life. I've told the story on the other channel about the kid I grew up with who got into marijuana as a teenager. That gatewayed him into other things. Long story short, he ended up, him and a couple other people I know, robbing the drug dealer and killing him, ended up in prison. The guy that I was closest with somehow got out, but a couple of years later he died, and we're pretty sure he had OD'd. So it can be such a life ruiner if you don't have a level of responsibility for it. That is one of the biggest fears I have. And you know, you hear the argument all the time that the drugs are the victimless crime. We hear that over on TCF, but the rippling harm that happens to the community, to the family, to all of that. So the responsibility end of things is one of the biggest things that concerns me.
In a vacuum.
I don't know how you solve for X on that, but
right.
It's a problem.
In a vacuum, I don't think, I mean, I've never had a problem with it. I guess I fall into the old libertarian kind of viewpoint on, you know, of the, hey, if you want to go home and do a line of Coke, go home and do a line of Coke. Just don't get behind the wheel. Don't ruin my day because you wanted to go and you know, do some PCP. To me, I don't care. And if it helps you, you know, we've seen these, on the other channel, we've seen these cases where people talk about how they're in end stage and, you know, they do cocaine or they do whatever they do. In and of itself, I don't have a problem with it. It's when you start to get on the roads and impact other people. Yeah, people that self-medicate. You know, the other way I was going to go with this, Dan, and, you know, I think about this because Michelle and I talk about this all the time. One of the big drugs that's out there right now that it seems like everybody is on. I mean, seemingly everybody. Ozempic.
Oh, yeah.
Or some variant thereof. Loss. Yes.
Even though it wasn't created for weight loss.
And I will tell you, a couple years ago, I went to the doctor and I had this wonderful doctor, and then the nurse practitioner comes in and she tells me, oh, hey, you know, if you want, we can start you on Ozempic next year because, you know, it's like $100 a month or something. And I was like, nah, you know, I can lose weight. I did it before. I mean, so far I haven't. You know, it's no secret here that I could probably lose a few pounds. But I did it before without any sort of help, any sort of drugs. I there was a time in my life I lost, you know, almost 80 pounds. I know how to do it. It starts by saying I'm full, and, you know, maybe putting down the fork. But the other thing is, I don't need necessarily there are certain fringe cases where I think Ozempic can be good, but everybody's taking it, and you can spot people that are on it. Catherine O'Hara just died, you know, and Michelle and I have been talking about this. Like, she looked pretty healthy until I guess, was she on Ozempic? Like, some of these people, they age so fast. They lose all of their fat, but they lose all their muscle mass. They lose everything. It looks like it just drains their bones. They just turn into they like waste away to nothing, like the air being let out of a balloon. And yeah. I'm wondering how much damage Ozempic is doing. You know, as I know it's doing some good. I know it helps some people, but I mean, I've seen a lot of people that are 50 years old that look 80 because they not only did they lose weight, they lost way too much. They're 5'9" and they're 88 pounds. They, you know, you use them to get the football out of the sewer. I mean, you know, it's like, like, what are you doing?
Well, Mike, this is kind of going into what I was talking about, like with a level of responsibility and kind of accepting to a certain extent what your lot in life is. Not everybody is going to be pencil thin. And so they find this drug that will help them, and then they're all running to it all in what I would argue would be an abusive and reckless manner, and you've got to stay on it to stay thin. So for them, the thin is the high, and they've got to stay on this drug to keep that up, or it's been proven when you get off of that, the majority of these people, they put the weight back. So it's not long term. And but then that's kind of my same concern with the micro dosing of things and whatnot is does it become almost a lifestyle for you, where it's not so much the helping as much as it's just it's what I do.
Well, right.
At that point, it's it's not doing what you need it to do.
Well, Michelle and I talked about it all the time. In the 80s, it was so in vogue to do cocaine. All those actors and athletes and everybody in the 80s that did all the cocaine, they had the cocaine bodies, right? They were all thin, and then they got off the coke in the 90s and 2000s, and they blew up. Everybody started to look like Sir Mix-a-Lot, and it was
got back.
It became wild. So, we've been talking about that too. And Ozempic is kind of the same thing. Like if you're on it, it's like anorexia in a shot or anorexia in a pill. And, I know that's Michelle's thing. And I'm kind of getting around to being on board with it. And the other thing is the side effects. People don't talk about that.
Oh God.
This isn't just, I got some dry mouth, or I have the sniffles now and then. Some people lose their eyesight. We don't even know the full extent of damage that this does to internal organs. Who knows? Because it's like an appetite suppressant, as I understand it, among other things. And who knows how? Obviously, if you're not taking in junk food, sure, but you're probably also not taking in proteins and vitamins and things that are sort of essential for survival. So that's my situation. That's my issue, I think, with some of these. Not just Ozempic. It's not just to pick on that. There's a lot of these pharmaceuticals that are, does the good outweigh the bad?
Oh, I've tried plenty of those.
Yeah. And normally it's the bad that's outweighing the good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like I said, this is where I'll wrap it up as we get under a minute here for this topic. I fear that we don't understand human chemistry well enough, and we're not disciplined enough.
Yeah.
Look, it's complicated for me. Again, if I found something that fixed Beth's migraines, I think we'd probably be all over it. But I think there's a level of discipline that we have between the two of us, because she knows that I won't let her go too far with stuff, and she generally isn't of that mind either. So there's that. But I think we're more the exception than the rule.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with it. Any final
Agreed.
thoughts?
I agree with that, Dan. For the most part.
Fair enough. All right. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we had proper audio on the first one, but that's okay. It's episode 1. Before we move on, though, ladies and gentlemen, first, if you haven't already smushicated the like button, please do that. Smushicate is a word, by the way, and it's a word because I just said it was. So smushicate the like button, hook us up. The more people who know about this show, the faster Mike and I will be found over here. And hitting the like button helps the algorithm suggest us to others. And also, please do share this show with everybody you've ever met in your life.
Yeah.
You're at the checkout tonight, at the Quickie Mart. Let the people at the Quickie Mart know about this show. That'd really hook us up. And then also, as Michael wants to do a voice, but he's resisting. And then in the pinned chat, you'll see a link to our website, itbshow.com. Go over there and sign up for emails, because after each show, Beth will be sending out her show notes, her research, her links and stuff that she did to come up with the topics that we talk about.
So if you want to dig deeper into the rabbit hole, I got a place for you to start.
Reference links.
Yes.
That's good.
All right. Shall we do the lightning round?
Yeah.
All right. So these are 5 questions, true or false. We have 3 minutes for each one for Beth to give us the question, for us to talk it out and decide if we think it's true or false. So we ready, Mikey?
I am all set, I think.
Ready, Bethy?
I'm ready.
Question 1, go.
It's a history question. Oliver Cromwell was tried and executed for treason more than 2 years after his death.
The way
I
you
believe
phrased
it.
that initially, I thought you were going to say he was like executed twice. But
No.
so he was tried
That's
and
not what I
executed
said.
for treason 2 years after his death.
Yes.
Sadly, I'm a student of history, but I will admit that I'm not that up on that particular piece of history. But doggone it, it sounds like something that they would have done back in the day. This feels like a truth to me, or they found somebody else to execute in his stead. I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
If it's not him, then somebody else. I mean, I know I've heard about this happening. I don't know if it was him specifically, but I know I have heard about this. It's very believable. This isn't one where I would just go, oh no, absolutely, it did not happen. No, I do think this is something that happened.
Here's why it's believable for me, though. There was a pope that similar kind of story, that after his death they tried him for something, and then they like excommunicated him, and then they like dug up his remains and like burned him and tossed him out.
Yeah.
And I might be conflating those stories, thus getting me to the true.
Do you want me to give you a little bit of background? Do you guys know who Oliver Cromwell was?
Yeah, but why don't you share for the rest of the audience? So yeah.
So share it. Okay.
Yeah, share it so just everybody else on the same.
Oliver Cromwell was a Puritan military commander who led Parliament's forces in the English Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah. I buy into it.
So
I do
England
think
had a civil war, and he was one of the charging commanders.
Well, look, it seems like something that, the crazy English would do. And, we came from crazy England.
Mm-hmm.
So,
luckily we've really advanced.
No, I was meaning my family personally. We came over on the Mayflower. Yeah, I think I would stick to true on this one because it's just crazy enough and sounds like something English would do. Though I do have concerns that I'm conflating it with that other story.
Yeah,
the Pope.
I'm a little bit concerned about, or that I'm thinking of somebody else as well, but I will stick to true as well.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It actually is true, but this is kind of a crazy story and why you should sign up for the emails, because after the monarchy was restored, Cromwell's corpse was exhumed posthumously, convicted, hanged, beheaded, and his head was displayed on a spike. And then it was sold multiple times. So it did a tour.
Did it end up with Ripley's?
No, it eventually got reburied, but
and here we have Oliver Cromwell's head,
like
sir.
Hundreds of years.
Yes.
Yeah, they left it on a spike outside of the royal kingdom.
Well, that was all in vogue back in the day to do that.
Yeah. Marvelous, sir. Marvelous. I see you have quite a collection of skulls outside, sir.
All right. So that was true.
Yeah.
All right. We did not conflate the story. I was concerned. All right. Next one.
One for one, Dan.
Go.
Chiropractic treatment began with a man who claimed that the practice was revealed to him by a ghost during a seance.
well, people call that like kooky mystic BS kind of care. Many people do. So maybe, I don't know. Michael, you got any thoughts on this one?
It sounds believable only because I believe chiropractic physicians. I think in order to become a chiropractor, the list of qualifications are: 1, do you have a pulse? And 2, that's the end of the list. I think pretty much anybody can become one. It's quackery at its finest. Not to go off on a rant here, but my mom, I think, has been seeing a chiropractor for 45 years. Her back is just as messed up now as it ever has been. Never is in any medical field is there ever been something that has never worked more than that. So I would believe that it totally came to somebody from a ghost or from a seance or from Lucifer or whatever you would tell me. I believe it. It may well be false, but I'm just going to say it's true because I believe the entire chiropractic field is a bunch of BS.
Doesn't Costco sell chiropractic classes in a family pack with a piece of beef jerky?
They just give you a certificate with your Costco membership.
Yeah. Oh, golly geez. It sounds plausible. It really does. But I'm going to go with false just to be contrarian. And I'm going to guess that it's something else that came to him from like a ghost, something like brain surgery or something, and not chiropractic care. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's, you know what? Acupuncture. Acupuncture is what came through a ghost.
Oh, I was going to say brain surgery. That would explain Ben Carson, but.
Oh, come on. Ben's harmless.
Well.
All right. I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say that it was actually acupuncture that was taught by a ghost.
So you're false.
And that chiropractic care was taught by a demon. That's where I'm going with this.
And you were true, Michael, right?
Yes, I say true.
Okay. The answer actually is true.
Yay.
Chiropractic's founder, D.D. Palmer, claimed the core ideas were communicated to him through a spiritual revelation. Yes, it involved a seance.
Are you ever going to give us a false? Because you gave us 5 truths for the pilot.
Oh, yeah. There's falses.
And then we've got, 2 truths here.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one who's ever gone out on a limb and said false.
There's falses.
I was going to, Dan, but
Michael to just be true.
But I was going to, but I if she had said anything else but chiropractic, but chiropractor that is so on brand with chiropractors that I totally bought it.
But so is my belief that it might have been a demon.
Well, I mean, yes, it could have been a demon. Anyway.
Exactly.
I have to keep you guessing.
Well, that's what we're doing.
I know. Now you're guessing. You're like, is there going to be? Yeah. Okay.
Number 3?
Number 3.
Go.
A chicken once lived several years after having its head cut off.
Well, I would need more information. Did they sew the wound?
Reattach the head? Did they do cranial reattachment? I would say, I mean, chickens don't, well, they don't really even live after having their heads cut off per se. So no, this one I would say is false, but
well, there's the problem of eating and breathing.
Yeah.
However, what is not being specified here is this something that happened over on Old MacDonald's farm, or did it happen in a lab? Because this is the kind of World War II German, Japanese kind of BS that they would have tried, only they would have tried it on a human.
Excuse me, Fuhrer. We've managed to make a chicken live for 7 years after cutting off its head, sir. And what is that useful for us? Well, if our soldiers get decapitated, sir, we could possibly bring them back. I see. Continue this research.
Uh-huh. That's my question. Was it done in a lab? If it's done in a lab, I'd buy it. Old MacDonald's farm, not a chance.
How did that fit in the old McDonald? On the farm, he had a chicken, and he cut his head off, and it lived for 7 years. I don't know. I don't remember that verse in the song. I'm trying to.
But there can't be a bok here or a bok there because the chicken head's
might
dead.
be in the extended mix. I'm thinking.
But see, there is that
the 12-inch version.
The B side.
There is that old saying, running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah.
Boy, I say, boy, you just running around. You're talking so much, your tongue's going to get a sunburn, boy.
I'm very torn on this one.
No, I'm going to say false.
Because of the possibility of it being lab.
Yeah, German lab, some sort of, yes.
I'm going to say true, and I'm going to say it was the Germans. Are we locked in on this one, Michael?
The Germans. I'm going to say it's false.
All right, we've got 30 seconds left, but we don't need them. What do we got?
Okay, it's false, but it's not for the reason you guys thought. The famous case was actually real, but exaggerated. Mike the Headless Chicken lived for 18 months without a head, not several years. There was a chicken that lived
Named
18 months. Yeah, and they took him around. He was like a sideshow.
How did they feed it?
Very carefully, like a dropper into the hole of its neck.
How?
What is wrong with people?
How?
See, again, this is why you need to sign up so you can
Kill it.
so you can find so you can dive into all
who was
this
doing
fun.
this? Was it the Germans? Was it my
No.
people? Must have been the Russians. We bring chicken around to circus. Look at this chicken with head cut off. What are you doing? The Russian chicken's much stronger than weak Yankee chicken. Yankee chicken die in 2 seconds. They have to cut off head. This chicken can lift 5 times body weight.
If I'm remembering correctly, somebody wasn't supervising him after they fed him and it choked. And that's how it actually died.
Freya's over here. She heard this story. She's down here. She's excited about this chicken. She's getting hungry.
Just showed up actually as we're talking. About
The cat. We're talking chicken. The cats show up.
It's like, and Io never shows up in the studio. She's like, "Where is this thing?
Yeah,
I must see it." Oh man,
she wants to chase a headless chicken around the office. Oh, you can see her ears. There you go.
What is the matter with people? All right.
Yep.
All right. Headless chickens are real, but it was still false because it was only 18 months.
Yeah, only.
You know.
Yeah, but still, 18 months without a head is a freaking long time.
18 seconds is a long time.
Yeah.
A year and a half. What? God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicken could have got its law degree.
It could have.
It might be a better lawyer than several that we see on our other channel.
Well,
Oh, heavens. Number 4.
Yeah, sure.
Go. Oh, don't stop. I gotta
Okay.
reset the timer. All right.
Now go.
Yeah, now go.
A Japanese World War II holdout did not surrender until 1974, nearly 30 years after the war officially ended.
That is absolutely true. That was on an island somewhere in the Indonesian area, as I recall. But it might be false because I don't know if he surrendered or they killed him. But it was definitely a true story that there was a holdout who kept fighting. I know that for a fact. I'm going to go with true, though, and say he did surrender and he wasn't killed.
I know that a number of TV shows have parodied this idea. Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm just thinking, like, there's all these different shows that have had sort of similar themes to this, and it obviously came from somewhere. And I know I've heard this somewhere. I don't know if it was World War II. I'm pretty sure it was, though. I seem to remember this being true, but I'm just trying to remember if it was 30 years later. But it might be false because it was only like like the chicken, it might only be 15 years later. But I'm kind of thinking that this is actually completely true, just based on a lot of the pop culture references that have been made to it. And I seem to remember hearing about this. That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I know the basis of the story is true, the base points of it. Some of the finer points that the trickery that's going on tonight might get us to be wrong. I can
There's some skullduggery here.
There is. However, as I recall the story, he would hide out in the jungle, and then he would like come in at night and like raid villages and do bad things and stuff.
I seem to remember that. And I'm pretty sure that's where I'm definitely leaning. Yeah, I'm going to say that is true. That's where I'm at with this, just because I'm sure I remember this.
Yeah, I think we're both locked in on true then, yeah?
Yes.
All right, we can cut that one early too. What is it, Bethy?
Okay, it is true. Several holdouts remained in hiding for decades. Hiruhu Onoda surrendered in March 1974, and Teruo Nakamura, discovered later that year on Morotai Island, was the last confirmed holdout to surrender. And that was in December. So December 1974 was the actual last confirmed surrender.
Wow. I mean, talk about commitment.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that very same thing. You would be hard pressed, I think, outside of maybe some of the groups in the Middle East right now to find that level of commitment to one's country and cause.
Yep.
But also, maybe you should like come out every once in a while and say, "Hey guys, we're still fighting."
Hey, where'd everybody go? Hey, why are they building all these buildings over here? What's going on?
Yeah. Last one?
Last one.
Go.
Ready?
Yep.
The glass harmonica, an instrument invented by Benjamin Franklin, was believed in the 1700s to cause nervous disorders and madness, leaving some physicians and cities to discourage or restrict its use.
So the harmonica causes madness.
The glass harmonica that was invented by Benjamin Franklin in the 1700s was believed to cause nervous disorders and madness, which led some physicians in cities to discourage its or restrict its use.
I don't know.
I would say I would lean true on that, but I can't. I'm not entirely. This one I'm not entirely sure about, but I mean, wait. I mean, we did have really, really dumb beliefs about everything. I mean, we still do, but I mean,
I was gonna say we did.
Yeah, I mean that was, but still, it's like that. That's how are you making that sound with that thing? So that's witchcraft. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm gonna just by default, if I hear something stupid from the 18th century, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that it's true. Just because of how stupid things were in the 18th century.
So you're telling me I need more modern questions?
No, I'm just saying, I mean, our airports didn't even function back then properly, from what I understand. But I'm going to say that that's true. I don't have any basis for that, but.
I'm wondering if it was that invention or something else. Or it wasn't the glass harmonica, it was the porcelain one or some other trickery you're pulling on us. But I tend to agree with you, Michael. It sounds like the kind of lunacy that we've come to expect from questions from that era. And I don't have any reason to discount it. I'm going to say true. Lock it in. Final answer.
Yeah, because I know we're going to hear, or it'll be like, well, that wasn't true, but it was really the accordion causes UTIs or something. It's going to be something, equally strange like that. But I'm going to say true as well.
That's the flute, Michael.
Yes. Well, and American Pie.
An American Pie reference.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. It is true. People genuinely believe this eerie instrument could disturb the nerves or the mind, and some doctors and cities warned against it. Modern historians think it was more superstition and misunderstanding than proven medical danger. But there are some reports out there that people who played it often died mysteriously. And some people attribute it to the noise. Some people also attribute it to the fact that they were overexposed to the lead glass that made the instrument itself.
The lead glass probably makes the most sense. However, we do know that certain frequencies of sound do damage the human body.
Yes.
So, the lead glass is probably a more logical explanation, but I wouldn't put it past a certain frequency coming out and doing harm. I mean, it's right up next to your head.
Yeah.
Think about that when listening to Alanis Morissette.
It's always listen at a safe distance. All right. Well, this was fun, Michael.
Yes. I would say it was fine.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what she comes up with this for Wednesday.
Yeah. Heaven
help us. All right, folks. I'll speak for Michael here because he just agreed. This was a lot of fun. So we'll do it again on Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I got to get those times right because they're different from everything else that we do. But please do go to itbshow.com, which is in the pinned chat. Sign up for the emails. And if you love what we do and want to support the show, you can also donate over there because we obviously are not monetized yet on this channel. So your support would be appreciated as well. But Michael, unless you have any final thoughts, I think we can let these people go for the evening.
I agree, Dan. We'll see you on Wednesday for yet another exciting episode of In the Blind.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.